Hi, and welcome to A Punk with Toys. My name is Lawrence, and this is my top 10 non-classified toys of the year. And the reason why I'm doing that is most of my collection, most of what I do at the channel is very G.I. Joe heavy. Extremely G.I. Joe heavy. But I do collect other stuff. And I needed to do a video that didn't mix the Joes along with the other things that I had, at least the classified, shall I say. So I decided that I will break it down, and this is figures that I picked up this year. So it's not going to be all the top 10 figures or all the figures, top 10 of all the figures, just what I collected. And I, believe me, when I went through it, I realized I do collect a lot more than G.I. Joe, that's for sure. But luckily, I'm not too bad. Next year may be a little worse. Who knows? With Monster Force coming, if there's more gargoyles to come, there may be a bigger collection of non-Joes. But anyway, I'm going to get into it. It's just going to be a quick top 10, or as quick as I can go, and many of you guys already know, most of my videos run very long or on the longer side. But I'm going to get into it. You're going to see NECA on here, Mezco, 4 Horsemen, stuff like that. But again, it's top 10. And unfortunately, some stuff got left off, and there was one big line that I collect that was left off, and I have to say I was actually kind of shocked. But when I went through it, I just didn't think they had one of the top 10 figures of stuff that I picked up. So anyway, without wasting any more time, let's just get into this. But listen, before we start, if you like the content that I've been giving you, take a second, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that bell notification so you're notified every time I do drop some sort of toy-related video. So now, let's get into this. Coming in at number 5 is Fang-Or. This was a Mattel Exclusives Masters of the Universe Origins figure. I absolutely love this figure. It was different. It scales with other things. It looks, obviously, you can tell that it is an Origins figure, but just the way that it looks, he looks like he stands up more upright, and it just gives a better feel. Now here you can see he's called Fangor. I have the short fangs in it, but of course, I don't ever display him with that. He comes with a second set of fangs, so these things can just pop right out. And then you install these, and then you can see the giant fangs, which just make him look cooler. And again, his name is Fangor. The detail on it, the scales on it, he just doesn't feel like that typical Origins price. And the other thing that they did was they finally did a slipcover for a regular release. Now, I have been complaining about this. I think anything in Origin or anything that's a Mattel Creation exclusive should come like this. This was not a deluxe figure. So I gotta say, all in all, I really like this figure. They knocked it out of the park with this. You don't hear too much about it, but the extended fangs, the separate fangs, he's clearly the man-at-arms or the cover girl of this line. Coming in at number 9 is the Valorverse Action Force Swarm Horde. Now this was initially the PowerCon exclusive, and that is the reason why he has Horde colors. Now, if you want to pick up this figure, you can get it on Valorverse right now. He made it really easy to get it, so I don't understand how it's really an exclusive. Now, I am not a huge fan of the swarms and the scarabs and the yellow, but I love the design of them, and as they give you different colors that go with this, I really do like it. And I just thought this one knocked it out of the park. Also, if you collect G.I. Joe Classified, he does fit with a lot of the Cobra Troopers. So if you're looking for a nice army builder, a little on the pricey side, because you get everything, including the B-Wings, which I know not everyone wants, it's going to cost you, I believe, this $45. But again, all in all, it's number 9 on my non-classified list, so I'm very happy with it. Number 8 on the list is Jada Street Fighter Ryu, however you want to pronounce it. Jada had no business making figures this good right out of the bat. This thing is absolutely awesome. I have the Chun-Li. She didn't make the list. Oops. But I gotta say, this one did. The buck is awesome. You have no problem standing. They give you what you want just to display them right away. 2 sets of heads for these figures, 2 sets of hands. They pop off very easily. You don't feel like you're going to snap anything. And as you can see here, no stands. They stand on 1 foot without a problem. And here he's doing a wonderful, perfect sidekick. Again, these figures weren't supposed to be this good. Jada, you knocked it out of the park. And the gi up top, I mentioned this in my review, which there will be links to all my reviews in the description. It is this nice rubber that just moves and flows so you don't have any articulation loss. Other companies could really stand to learn a little bit from using this type of material. Number 7 is Sparrow Toys, AWOC, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom Pale. Now, yes, I had heard so much about these figures, and I never heard a bad thing. Now, I've heard other lines where people say they're the greatest figures in the world, and they say they're also the worst figures in the world. It always has to be something in the middle, and I heard about these, and I was like, you know what, I got to pick up a couple. Of course, this guy has a mohawk, so I went with him. And let me tell you, everything that I heard was absolutely spot on about these figures. So these are figures, they come with extra hands, and I have to say, when you pop the hands out, you don't feel like they're going to break. They have this thick stem on them. You don't have to worry about it. And I've said about these figures from the moment I got them, if you handed them to a 5-year-old, they're not coming back in 10 minutes saying that they're broken. I can't say the same thing for a lot of these other figures, whether it be G.I. Joe Classified, Valorverse, Marvel Legends, Mythic Legions. But with these, I firmly do believe that. The weapons are extremely stiff, and you will not want to give those to a kid because they could poke an eye out. But all in all, these figures are absolutely made to be played with. I can't commend them enough, and the line is just growing. And hopefully we'll see it just become better and better as the days go on. At number 6 comes the Mezco G.I. Joe Roadblock. And I know what you're saying right now. Hey, you said no G.I. Joe? No, I said no Classified. These figures are absolutely wonderful. And it is Mezco that makes them wonderful. Not just that they are G.I. Joe. So from the wonderful multiple hands that change easily to the 3 different head sculpts that you get and the multiple weapons, these things are awesome. The soft goods make Mezco something completely different than you've had if you've just collected the normal run-of-the-mill $25 to even $50 figure. So from the multiple heads, backpacks, overlays, guns, this is a figure that, honest to God, if you get it, you're going to say, oh my God, I need at least 2 to make them look the way that I want to, because there's so many different configurations. When this thing goes on sale, if it goes on sale, I'm going to tell you right now, this is what you're going to want. But I know people were complaining, I'm sure already, that, hey, you said no G.I. Joe, and which I did not. I said no Classified. But wait. There's more. Coming in at number 5 is the Mezco G.I. Joe Destro. And I know, another G.I. Joe, you're just a G.I. Joe shill, but again, it's Mezco that puts this on the list. Absolutely amazing from everything that you see that he's holding right here with this modified gun, or so I say collapsible gun in many ways, in his briefcase. With the briefcase that I assure you does light up, unless if you leave it on like an idiot. It does light up. It you see his secondary weapon that he has, the other rifle, along with 2 different heads. But the briefcase also not only has a device, which is some sort of rockets, and you could only imagine chemical warfare. So with the briefcase, that also you can see that I stored the first weapon inside of that briefcase there, to the rockets that are firing, and this sinister looking face that I have on there, which I said I would never use because it is awful. It is really the one that I use the most. This figure was knocked out of the park, and that's why it comes in so high at number 5 when, again, I said no classified, but I never said no Mezco G.I. Joe. At number 4 on the list is the 4 Horsemen's figure Obscura, Headless Horseman, the glow-in-the-dark edition. This would have been higher if the glow-in-the-dark glowed better, but even with that, this figure is amazing, and it comes with a horse, and it may be the most expensive figure on the list. It is not far behind him, not far ahead of a Mezco, but from the horse and the articulation with the different mane to the different head sculpts that you can get, the one that he is holding in his hand right now, you can pop that on his head, or you can even take one away. And yes, you can make him a headless horseman riding the horse. And yes, if you are wondering, these horses do scale well with the G.I. Joe Classified, but as you can see, this thing is absolutely amazing. Other than the glow-in-the-dark is not what I wanted. I hate to say this, but I think my Lazy Susan is starting to get lazy as it gets louder as this thing turns. So, from multiple hands, multiple heads, and yes, this head does fit on him, a sword, a wonderful steed that he can ride, and 2 different sets of manes for the horse. As cloth goods, this figure is absolutely amazing. I can't complain too much. Yes, I wish the glow-in-the-dark was better, but again, I will leave a link in the description to all of these figures as we go, and we hope the Lazy Susan continues to make it, because it's definitely getting louder as this video has gone on. And number 3 on this list is the Mythic Legions Duban by the 4 Horsemen. And I'm going to say this right now. If you're posing this figure and you're posing without his bird, you are doing it wrong. This figure is absolutely amazing. And when you see the soft goods on this figure, this is when you realize that Mythic Legions does it absolutely right. So this soft goods wired cape integrates perfectly into the hood that he wears, where unless you're really looking closely, you cannot tell that one is plastic and one is soft goods. 2 different swords, well, a sword and a dagger that both fit on his person, so you don't have to worry about not having him hold everything, along with his crossbow. This figure is absolutely awesome. It was one of the first Mythic Legions that I picked up. I had to make sure that, yes, it happened. It was released this year. And for the most part, I take that back. There is not one complaint that I can have about him. And $55, again, I will mention it. If you pick up a Mythic Legions, you are not picking it up for the articulation. You are picking it up for the wonderful sculpt, the wonderful paint, the accessories that it comes with. That's what you're looking for. And coming in at number 2 is Hasbro's Marvel Legends Black Widow. This is the Target exclusive. Right away, I'm going to apologize. I cannot find her guns. But don't worry, the guns are awful. You don't even need them. A matter of fact, most of the stuff that you'll see on here, you don't really need. And that's how good this figure is to come in at number 2. This figure comes with 3 different head sculpts, 3 different bracelets, one with smoke effects, one with blast effects, and one just normal. 2 different sets of hands, the punching hands, trigger finger hands. She does come with 2 guns and the smoke effects and some crappy blast effects. But the articulation is what really knocks it out of the park with this. And the fact that this is like $28 and they give you so much stuff. And in the review, you'll see all the different things that she comes with. But for me, one of the best things that it could do was with the multiple heads that you get, there's one other thing that people were able to do. And that is, there is one head that actually looks more like Scarlet than the original G.I. Joe Classified. Now, we are getting a retro one, so that is great. But you can have 3 different heads. You can have a Black Widow head and not have an issue because the ball joint actually fits perfect. And then you can add a Scarlet that has a different face sculpt to your Classified collection. And my number one figure of the year that is not G.I. Joe Classified is NECA's Ultimate Elf. This figure had no business being as good as it was. I wanted it just because Elf was a fun show. Then you get this figure in hand and you're like, this is absolutely amazing. The accessories that he comes with, his articulation, the look, the paint, everything is as amazing as it can be. Glasses that NECA gives you that brands like Hasbro and Valorverse could learn a thing or two from. The cat inside the sandwich. His radio so he could call home. The picture of his mother. And the other food, and obviously the the pop that he's drinking. Again, I guess I forgot to mention the Hawaiian shirt that does come off. This figure is just so much fun. I have him holding a shotgun because, you know what? He came to eat cats and kick some ass, and he's all out of cats. I'm sorry. This figure had no business being nearly as good. He also has a multitude of hands. But again, if you haven't picked this figure up, this is the one I'm going to tell you. Go out and get it. I was very disappointed that I wasn't able to, or I didn't want to pony up to get the San Diego Comic-Con one. But honest to God, this figure is amazing. And NECA doesn't always have the greatest quality. But with this figure, they did. So there is the top 10. So there we go. We come to a close of 2023, my top 10 non-classified figures of the year. And I mentioned it earlier. There's one line that I collect that I have every single figure so far that wasn't on here, and that is NECA's Gargoyles. As much as I think some of those figures are really good, some of them lack articulation, but the fact that these ones here were all able to push all the gargoyles out, and as you know, I'm very highly into that line, and I think they're wonderful figures, and the fact that there was a NECA figure at number 1 and it wasn't a gargoyle tells you all that you need to know. So in the links, I will put, or in the description, I will put a link to all of these videos, all the reviews that I did. And I do appreciate everyone sitting through here. Again, next year I might have to move up a little bit sooner, spend a little more time doing it, or start earlier because everything kind of gets packed. But hopefully I won't have to worry about Hasbro dumping a whole bunch of G.I. Joe on us at the end of next year. So anyway, I am going to get going. Thank you guys all. I hope you have all a wonderful 2024. I hope you had a wonderful 2023. This proves that I don't just collect G.I. Joe. I'm not just a Joe guy. But I am going to get out of here. Before I do, if you're on the social medias, Instagram, as most of you already know, the Instagram page now is apunk_with_toys because the other one was banned because of some a-hole. Twitter, TikTok, apunk_with_toys. Obviously, you know, this channel. I am going to get out of here. But please, if you stayed this long, take a second. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Hit that bell notification so you're notified every time I do drop some sort of video, which isn't always classified. Now, I'm going to get out of here. But what I am going to do is I'm going to leave you a link to the number 1 and a link to the number 2 figures of this year. Have a wonderful day. Take care.